Welcome back to Factorio MSX Gigabase. Okay, I've done a little bit of work here which we'll come back to. We're now running on 16.16, I believe it is, where they changed pump sizes, and so I was a little bit concerned that possibly that would interfere with how this nuclear works, but it looks like it should fit okay. As long as these are still legal entities going in there. Otherwise we may have some dramas, but only with future build nuclear. So the nuclear has been expanded up to 7 gigawatts capability. At the moment we are using 4.8, and as I indicated at the end of last episode, I have expanded out to processing units and put in all the modules there. So I haven't done the modules yet, but we have done processing units. Now, speaking of processing, we're running at a fairly modest rate, mainly because red circuits are constantly capped by the amount of plastic that we're getting in our unmoduled oil build, which is why I am now working on the new oil build to try and alleviate that issue. So, one other thing, our publishers, I've done a little bit of an enhancement here with the vertical slider so we can get the whole list. And also I've added in the priority that's been assigned to each of these publishers, which I'm sure will be quite useful in the future. Probably the other enhancement I'm going to do is add a filter so that you can select a resource type and then just list the publishers according to, say, for example, copper. Who's requesting copper, have a look at them and make decisions based on that sort of information. But at the moment I thought I'd just show you that I have enhanced it a little bit. Obviously this is a work in progress as well, but it continues to work spinningly, and we're doing fine, 11.6 microseconds in the update, but the factory is really just idling, as I said. So let's come over here. What is happening over here and where are we? Basically this is where the landfill lake was, because that gives me an opportunity for a test bed for my new oil design. And ooh, look at this, these guys are obviously ordering too much stuff. We shouldn't have 2 greens in the wait queue. That could be why the factory has gone into pause mode. Yeah, and this one is still trying to unload. So there's obviously a bit of tuning I need to do in this area, and it's going to cause a big hold up. But never mind, we'll worry about that later. Well, I'll worry about it off screen actually. So coming back to oil. Oil. What's wrong with our oil? Well, this one, as I think I've mentioned before, is a huge bot hog, because how it works is basically the trains empty up here. Their product gets put into barrels. You already know that barrels are a bit of an issue because of what developers have done to them, probably with anything using barrels in mind. I mean, really, they introduced barrels and that was great. You've got barrels now, you really need them because your pipe handling characteristics have unfortunate consequences that are not obvious from just hovering over pipes or whatever in terms of capacity, volumes and drop off over distance. So yes, the bots deliver to our army of 150 refineries, which are almost all going, and then that obviously creates the 3 products. The 3 products are then shunted down to the next step, where if there's too much heavy we crack it, if there's too much light we crack it. There's a lot more light cracking required than heavy cracking. And then we have our specialized sulfuric acid build, our lube build, and we needed a bit more sulfuric, so we've got that as well. And then a massive plastic build which actually is too long from this to fill all of these machines, so it needed a revision anyway. But even before the developers changed how barrels worked, I had it in mind that I really don't like this, because what are we doing? We're actually only at half at the moment, probably because of the train blockage. It has basically been run at full, so that's 3,000 bots running around here, and it's only going to get worse when we put the modules into the oil, and the system will then have to move so much more, and it's over a fairly large distance, and all the things that I'm trying to do with these more isolated bot network modules are kind of undone by such a large thing as this. And also, it's not particularly modular. I mean, I guess that you could call that whole thing a module and just slap it down a couple of times, and then you might have enough for your purposes, but I would rather a more modular and much less bot heavy design, which will be friendlier on UPS. So coming down to this lake, I've created a design test. I have got the engineering train with a very specific layout in it, and I have got the landfill train, because we need landfill, as you can see here in my new design. We're basically unloading in a very similar way for the actual other oil design, so we'll be duplicating this a lot more, so there could potentially be a lot more stored oil in our revised design, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's buffering in general is not a great idea, but this is really just so that we can unload a train, get the train out and get it refilling. We don't have to bring another one back until these start getting low, so we probably won't ultimately buffer that much. Now, the design I have in mind calls for 20, this was just a pre-design bit of testing, calls for 20 refineries, obviously fully beaconed, and to get the beacons close enough to the refineries, you basically need the pipes to do a bit of a skip jump, and I'm using the channel so that we can get enough water into the process without relying on the pipe mechanics, which have their issues. And actually we need one more pump, offshore pump. Let's grab this one, we don't really need it over there anymore. So obviously we're drawing directly off these tanks with a nice skip, so that different tanks are probably flowing out to fill our needs. I am hoping that just the pipe mechanic by itself will be enough, but if not, we can always employ pumps, these guys like that, to try and force a bit more, and maybe add a little bit more landfill to force a bit more through, to ensure that our refineries are kept under constant pressure. Now, in actual case, in theory, one offshore pump would have enough water to supply all of these. Is that right? No, I don't think that is right. I think it would have enough for 10, and we've got 20, so we'd actually need 2. But why would anyone want to go through the hassle of, you need this kind of thing that you see in so many starter base oil builds, where you're skipping so that you can pass by the next pump, which is probably here, sort of thing. For the 2 inputs, or a bit closer, but you get the idea. Why go through all of that drama when, if we have a water channel, we can just absolutely guarantee sufficient, no distance for the water to travel, no drop off, just make sure that these things do not run out of water. And we have a little bit of an extend, because I wanted 20 and that's too wide for the setup, so we have pumps at the ends to try and ensure that our guys at the end get enough supply. And the other thing is we have these just because the way pipe mechanics work is it counts the actual numbers of entities as when it calculates drop off and so on, so we reduce the number of entities by using undergrounds, which doesn't make any sense in the logical world, but it does for Factorio, and if that's how it works, that's how it works. Obviously where we've got very short gaps here, the undergrounds don't really help, but for these longer ones they do, so that is why I have done that. So that brings you up to date. Now what I want to do is quickly check something in the background just to see if this is doing what I want it to, and it is, so that's all good, because I actually recorded this as an episode for you, and then realised that it didn't record it properly, so damn, but never mind. Okay, now, next step is probably we are going to need some more landfill. Basically, 20 of these, when they're fully beaconed up, will produce more than one pipe can handle. So the petroleum needs to, well, for petroleum in particular. So petroleum needs to be bled off into 2 pipes, which I'm probably going to do as like an alternate. Actually, let's just get a larger brush, something like that. Whoops, why did I stop? I ran out of, that's why I stopped, I ran out of landfill. That's why we've got the landfill train here, so that we can keep restocking landfill. We'll probably use quite a lot of landfill. I'm just trying to make this work, and it's certainly possible that I will make a complete mess of it. This certainly probably, well, this probably won't be, this probably won't be where we ultimately have our oil. It's just where I am designing it, because we're filling in this lake anyway, so why not? Now I'm basically thinking I'll do something like this, so we'll go to every second one. So we have two pipes, not one, coming off the petroleum, and that should give us enough throughput. I think that's what we need. So now if we grab a blueprint of that, just to make sure that my blueprints will be completely completely flooded. Oops, that's not going to work. We need to go back one. This should make it a little bit easier to finish up what we were doing. I don't trap myself in on the blueprints, because we are going to move the petroleum off to the side. So we've got more landfill. Let's put this down here so that we can use it. Landfill, let's get that extended. So the petroleum will be pushed this way. You need to go there and there, and we need to get more pipe to grounds. The petroleum needs to be pushed off to the west, because that is where we are going to do the plastic. And there are other products that you need that use petroleum, like well, you need to make your sulfur so that you can make sulfuric acid, but the amount that you need for plastic is far greater than the amount that you need for sulfuric acid. So yes, we'll push that over in that direction. Now, in fact, we can safely put a blob here too. That's the first, well, 3 I guess. So the fourth one, the fourth one needs to be the heavy. We need to get the heavy out of the way. And we only need 1 pipe for heavy because the produced amount of heavy in the formula is, I'm sure most of you are aware anyway, but just in case you aren't, 10, 45, 55. So, and incidentally, the 45 probably only needs 1 pipe if we were to run it like a long ways like this. We're not going to do that, as I'll get to in a sec, but if we were to, it only needs that 1 pipe. So that's fine. So heavy, heavy is, there's a small amount of lube required, and it really is a tiny trivial amount in comparison to everything else. And well, in terms of the raw like oil product that needs to be created for it, it's only for electric engines for Purple Science. Purple Science is really again about the steel, and it used to be about the iron that it needed, but now that they've taken the assembly machines out, there'll be a lot less iron required. Oh, we won't need that bit there. That actually is going to get very annoying very fast. Oh well. So yeah, so this will get rid of the heavy oil. Made it slightly more interesting and corrected an error along the way. Basically, we need just less than 3. And I'm not trying to go for perfect ratios of the oil. I'm more interested in, well, 20 is a fairly friendly multiple of refineries that wouldn't extend too far. Kind of how I derived would use 20. So that gets rid of heavy, although not quite, because we now need a chem plant for wrong one. Let's come over here. Do we have any chem plants in there? No. What about in there? No. What about in there? Got 10, that'll do. So chemical plants. This could actually probably be hard and close there. That one could be. This one. I might then run it round the other way and hard up against each other, and I think that is going to work, although this now is annoying, which is why I did this in a test bed. So my idea here, I think we are safe to, if this is what I'm doing, fill in our landfill. I know it would kind of be overpowered if you had an ability to dig land anywhere, but you kind of could do with a tool to remove landfill at least, even if nothing else, although it probably wouldn't make sense unless you could do other stuff as well. Right, you excuse me, you are lube. These ones are cracking heavy to light, and yeah, that one is going to have issues, although the sheer amount of water that we need for just this operation, we could almost make do with the dreaded water in here thing. I don't think I have left myself enough space though. Let me grab those again, and you always want enough space. And actually, I don't think I've got any more offshore pumps on me. Pumps. So I will grab some more. There should be some on here, in here, somewhere. Can't tell. Let's just have a look at each one of these. There may not actually be. You don't actually need water at a site, do you? Where are the offshore pumps? There they are. I have a little bit of iron on me, so that's a good way of using up a little bit of it. So heavy. Actually, we could do something like this to minimize total number of pipes in the system. That can flow into there. These guys are cracking. Heavy to light. We need our water. May as well line it up perfectly with one guy. Do we have room for two? No. Well, I don't need these to be... Oh, maybe I do. I don't need you there. Oh, no. Stop taking them away. Let's wait for those... Oh, I've got no room now either. God. Alright, let us... Why do I have solid fuel? That's completely useless. Robots. I don't want you working for a moment. Now. If you are placed here, then I don't think the heavy oil is going to have room. It can if it's hard up there, so actually no, because that doesn't work, because I need it actually to come from behind. Tricky. If we move those any further, they won't fit. Well, it's not critical for these to be jammed up next to each other. Wait 1 second. 1 second. You can go out. No, that's not going to work anymore. Okay, these are a 5x5 entity, I think. Yes. So we actually have 7 that we're playing with there. these guys are 3, so there's an extra 2. So if that one doesn't really matter, these ones can be closer to this end. Lube, cracking, water. Water would be better if it was 3 of these things. I may have messed this up though. Let's just see if it's possible to place an offshore pump. Oh yes, it is, but we can't place that one. That's okay, we'll be able to fix our design later. That's good actually, that fits there. So the water's out of the way, the heavy can flow in here, and this can provide we will do this little in fact that kind of carry on is completely pointless at this point. We may as well just go, because we're not saving anything using underground pipes. So there you have it, and that needs to come out to yeah, that level. And of course the new rules prohibit that kind of placement, so that's fine, I don't mind that at all. There you have it, that is how we are dealing with heavy. Now to my notes, I believe I want 16 machines making solid fuel. And let's have a quick look, what's the solid fuel formula? Not this or that, but just this one, because you notice 10 light becomes 1 solid fuel. It takes 20 petroleum or 20 heavy, so the best ratio is light. It's the only thing we use light for other than cracking to petroleum. No, that's not the formula I was after. I was after that one. It's just light oil. It doesn't need water. This is 3 though, and this is where things are going to get a little bit more interesting. I'm not exactly sure how I am going to do this layout. I think I want a shared pipe, but these could be an issue unless I come out one further. Can we reach one more step? Yes, we can. One more little bit of landfill, so we can get to there and then connect up the pipes like so. And I actually need enough now to run these guys like that. So I need these 2 plus the 3, so I need basically about 5 on landfill. There's only certain places we need the water channels. This is not one of them. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. We'll need more than 5. But we can certainly afford to do this, I think. So let's get our pipe, our standard pipe, although it depends where are we going to start this only over here? Which would mean that we would use underground from there to here, and then just run pipe. The length of these machines, it looks a little bit wasteful, but it is probably what we all need to do. Now, if every single bit of your production was heavy cracked to light, then put into a pipe from all of these machines, and then shunted off to petroleum, I think the pipe probably wouldn't quite cope, but it wouldn't be too far off. But we're not doing that. We're taking something like 1/4 of the production of it into making solid fuel, and so because of that, it should be fine. Now, is there any need? Well, I only need 16 of these, don't I? So I kind of may as well. Oh, I can't. This is. Yes. That's the consideration, that I need to be able to put beacons in and around these guys. Beacons. Which in fact means I want a row of beacons, so I want this I want this 2 further up, if that's possible. Let's just see. We might just be in luck. No, we're not. Why does this doesn't work? Because it needs to be one further. It will work a little bit like this. Because we can't run that to there. We can get to there, we can't get to there. There you go. Alright, so, and then it would be running along here, and that is high enough, but here is not, because we need this to get all the way out. So we need slightly more landfill. We're out of landfill again. Landfill doesn't go that far, but that's okay. We are trying to burn off a stone patch. I seem to have forgotten how to pick up the content automatically, but never mind, that's fine. you and all of this stuff I might have to turn my bots back on for. You don't need these things. What you do need is basically pipes, pipe to ground, I'll make that job slightly easier. Of course we don't have space apparently. Come on guys, down here, down the other end now. So if that's where that is, and our pipes are running here, what we can do from the refineries is basically do this in, because we can't do it in one step, and that would get in the way of those. We can do it in 2 steps. We can go here, and then we can come out like that, and then we will be able to fit our beacons in without trouble. And then we need this carrying on. In fact, I might just lay that down to clear out a little bit of room in our inventory. Take these guys out again so I can pick this guy up. No room. Too much junk. Still too much junk. We don't actually need that much landfill at once. It's got nowhere to put it, so that's fine. Pick up the beacon. What I want to do is just use ghost beacons for the moment. So if you hold shift down while you place it, you will only get a ghost. And that way it doesn't matter that I don't actually have all those beacons on me. Okay, so we will need landfill to be a bit deeper than this. Let's aim for at least that. Let's actually increase the size one more step so that we can do all of that. Right, now, finally, chemical plants. So I kind of want to line up with where this comes in. I don't know if there's any logical reason for that, or whether in fact I am better off just squeezing these up as close as possible. But the thing is, if I have the oh, we need more landfill to potentially demonstrate this one. If I have these guys here, the only problem is these are going to be able to oversupply our rocket fuel, and placement of beacons could be an issue. Although, this guy would get not so much that one, but he gets 2 from there, 2 from there, so that's 4, and he gets 1, 2, 3, 4 from back there. So he does actually get his 8. So, and this guy has, he's actually got that one does affect him, so he doesn't necessarily need that. So we can actually get our 8 to this guy. So you are doing solid fuel, and if you're doing rocket fuel, I'd probably have to go up to 21 lights to solid fuel, though, if I do this system, for my maths to still work, because even though we'll have our I don't know if I'm just starting to ramble and this isn't making sense, even though we'll have our productivity in there, we can't unload into these machines that do the the rocket fuel. Whoops. We're doing rocket fuel. We can't unload into these machines the full amount that we are going to get from these machines, because the 30%, it's a one-to-one without modules, basically. So I might in fact do that, which would make this, instead of 16, would have 21. We'll still get the benefit of the boost, but this is a very tidy way of getting these guys in here. And then they can unload into... we will at points need bots, but just not as many. So they can unload into passive providers. Like so, and we need another 3. 1, 2, 3. So that we have room for... Oh, you can't go there, you need to be offset. So we have room for a row of beacons, and so this guy in fact gets the 4 around him, and doesn't get that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Though an interesting thing has occurred to me. If I was to put him here, he in fact at this point doesn't, he has an increased, so does he get an extra 30%? That might actually be enough. Because we now have 10 rather than 8 sources, which would give us an extra 100% speed on this, and that actually would probably be enough to be able to cope. So yes, I think that is the design that I will go with. And obviously speed modules in all of these. Yes, I'm very happy with that, I think. And we don't need any solid fuel for anything but turning it into rocket fuel, obviously. So that is our design. We don't actually need this bit of land here. I've gone one too far. Let us take this up along here with some more landfill, probably some less prod. We're probably starting to run short of time. That's okay. Let's deposit those back in there. No, we don't need track at the moment. You can go in there as well. Let's get some landfill. We may have to pick this up in the next episode. That is a bit of a problem, or maybe I will fill it out a bit more and show you what I have done, but the basic idea I can tell you now is we will fill out our 16 copies of this, then we will head directly into conversion to petroleum, because the rest of it needs to be converted into petroleum. So that plus these 2 lines of petroleum from here will then flow into our plastic. And at the end of the plastic, we probably might consider making a little bit of sulfuric acid. So that's how this is going to pan out, but I think we've probably done enough just for the moment. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next. Bye bye for now.